I went through many mental breakdowns,
Yeah.
but the biggest one was me trying to take my own life in 2011. And I was in a psychiatric hospital. I was on medications at that point for like 15 years.
Mainstream world will tell you if you're hearing things, you've got a psychiatric disorder, right? If you just randomly know things, you're like schizophrenic, right?
And it said, I'm going to be a shaman and I'm going to start helping people. And this is my purpose. And it's to help heal humanity.
This is From Wounds to Wisdom with Barbie Moreno. Real talk, deep healing, and stories that turn pain into power. Let's dive in. Maria Teresa, thank you so much for being here.
It's wonderful to be here, Barbie. Thank you for having me.
I love your philosophy. Obviously, we've talked before today, and you talked about turning pain into power.
Absolutely. That is my number one focus is taking the pain that I've experienced and turning it into my personal power. And I believe all of us in this human experience are doing just that. That is how we evolve.
Yeah. Well, not all of us. Some of us don't evolve, let's be real.
Those people are necessary too.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are. They help in our evolution. So I agree
Yeah.
with that.
So I am a eternal optimist
Yeah.
and like a very positive upbeat person. And
Yeah.
so I want to inspire hope always. Anything is possible, not to limit yourself.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
That's why the hesitation when I said not all people.
Yeah, I was just like, true. I just like to focus on the fact that anybody has the ability to
Mhm.
heal and everyone is deserving of healing.
Yeah.
Whether you choose to or not, that's up to you. That's your own free will, but it's
I'm on the
it's
same page.
possible.
I'm on the same page as possible. It just means a lot of people, not a lot, but there are people out there who definitely don't choose that path. But again,
A
they help us
hundred
out in
percent.
it. Yeah.
I call those people like ostriches. They just want to stick their head in the sand.
Sometimes I wish I was an ostrich.
Um, yeah, there's been some moments too where I could say, especially lately, where I'm just like, damn, why do I have to be the generational curse breaker?
Well, tell us about so since you and I originally talked, you said your whole life has kind of changed, which you're being
Mhm.
able to use your tools. Now, before you talk, I want just to confirm with people that you are a shaman. So can you give those that don't know what a shaman is? Because you being a shaman and shamanism would create a space for you to respond differently to what just happened to you than somebody who was not in that consciousness.
Yes, absolutely. I say that God has sent me here with all of my sense settings on high. So I have all of the clairs online. I am a highly sensitive, a very aware of energy person. I talk to spirit in many different ways all the time. And I'm very aware of the connectedness and the oneness of all living things. When my partner of a couple years came to me, we have got to separate now, and it's time for you to fly, and it's time for you. He's a very selfless person. We've actually known each
Mhm.
other for 12 years, and he is my divine partner. He and I have traveled in many lifetimes, so this is very karmic. He has been supporting me in one way, shape, or form for a very long time. There was a lot of other extenuating circumstances going on business wise, but it was time for it to end. And it wasn't like I didn't know fully because there was a lot of hints and inklings and energetically. I was just telling my girlfriend this morning, I think for the last 6 months, I've been feeling things and I just didn't want to let go. Now, part of that is because I'm stubborn and I make a commitment. I'm also somebody who was divorced
Yeah.
um in 2012, but I was married for 12 years. I have two children. I have a tendency to hang on to people.
Yeah.
I don't, that's a really hard thing for me. When I love somebody, I love deep and hard, and it's
Yeah. That's a
really tough
Sagittarius
for
thing.
me.
That's
Yeah, it
totally
is
a Sag
tough for
thing.
me.
Yeah.
So that's what we were talking about also is I'm a Sag stellium. So I have Sun, Moon, Neptune, and Venus all in
Mm.
Sagittarius. And I just really, the writing was on the wall of like, it's time to fly. It's time to let go. It's time to really be the warrior that you are fully on your own 2 feet, Maria.
Mm.
And, it's me looking at a lot of like old childhood wounding. And so my two girlfriends, my two best girlfriends, got to see a lot of wounded Maria
Mm.
come out, projected out. I mean, my one girlfriend even said, I'm a little afraid of you. Because there was some anger.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of everything coming out. And I really just leaned into the practices that I know to do for myself. You know, I
Mhm.
move my body every day. That is a must for me. Meditation, breath work, connecting to my guides, just listening. That's where all my poetry comes from. It comes from just listening and intuiting. And I feel like once I was able to come out of our environment that we were sharing together, everything really changed. And it's kind of lovely because we're all in this massive change and awakening here in 2025 anyway. Yes, it had to be me too. It had
You
to
are
be
no
me too.
exception, my friend. Yeah.
I'm no exception. Just like, yeah, many of us on this awakening journey,
Hmm.
these are the
Which is
things I
beautiful.
feel like too, like the clients that I coach, when I'm teaching something, the universe is like, oh, okay, you want to have a lesson too? Because
Right.
like, let's see how well you're learning,
Right. And
how much
also,
you're
like,
keeping up.
you have to be able to be empathetic, sympathetic, relate. And if you don't have these lessons, that's one of my favorite things is I always say I would never redo my life. I love my life, even though it was not easy, because
Hmm.
I couldn't be who I am today without every single moment that I experienced, right? And I love that you said like you're using your tools because like this podcast, everything that you teach, we're basically giving people a toolbox. You can
Hmm.
choose to use it. You can choose not to use it. You're going to probably suffer if you don't use it, but you have those tools. And so adding various tools to your toolbox to turn to in different times is where I believe the healing, the healed process is because we all know we're going to go through stuff, right? Just because you're a shaman doesn't mean you're not going to go through stuff. But the tools that you have that you've learned along the way through your consciousness, through your connection, through your journey, through your trauma, through whatever it is that you've gone through, those tools are what you were given so that you could continue your journey.
100%. And it's funny because I was just telling my girlfriend's boyfriend that I live with. I'm actually being shared between two wonderful three people.
Oh,
And so I
wow.
was just telling him, I said, never at one time in my life did I ever say, I'm going to be a shaman. That never came up, never once. But my life is an example of that. All of my experiences are, and it has helped me every single time. Getting away from the judgment of myself, of the good and the bad, I feel the same way.
Yep.
I could never be who I am without all these experiences. And I know that, when I became a mother, I actually put myself into parenting classes, and one of the classes was embracing your dysfunction. And I've learned how absolutely my dysfunctional family and my upbringing and my trauma has created this very resilient, thick
Yep.
skin. Like, I mean, I'm sensitive, but I'm also thick skinned in
Yeah.
a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's a
Usually
balance of
sensitive people
both.
are,
It's a
well, and
balance of
since,
both. Yeah.
yeah, sensitive people are because you have to be in order to
Yeah.
survive in this world, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to function. I wouldn't be able to leave my house.
And also, like you getting upset or you acting out, I love that that happened too because
Hmm.
I one thing that I really have a hard time with is these people who say that they're consciously aware and they teach all this stuff and then they say
Mm.
you can't have these feelings. These feelings are valid, right? Just because you have learned doesn't mean that you're not going to be a human being and have all these feelings. It goes back to once you have the feelings, what do you do with it, right? But
Yes.
not to show them doesn't make you a better person. In fact, it just bottles them up, in my opinion.
Well, I feel like you're talking about toxic positivity.
Yes,
So
horrible.
I am like, no, girl, I am 100% real.
Yeah.
I am a fiery person. I have a temper. It takes a lot. Like, I have a very high tolerance. My ceiling is very high. I have a kaleidoscope of
Hmm.
feelings. I
Hmm.
have a spectrum of emotion. I
Hmm.
mean, that is the experience. And I lean into all of it and I share all of it. And that's vulnerability. And
Yeah.
vulnerability is strength. And so I say I wear that as like my superhero cape
And I
because
think that
that's real.
it's real. And I think there's some things that are just kind of born into everybody, right?
Mm,
So, like that kind of fieriness is born into you. I was telling you earlier, I'm a Pisces. And so
yeah.
Pisces will just put up with shit all day long. And then finally, when we're done with you, we literally act like you died. Like you're just done. And no matter how much work I do on myself, it is ingrained in me. And if I will put up with you as long as possible, and then one moment you're just literally dead to me, and I will not care about you. I will just shut you off completely. It doesn't matter if I'm working on my journey, working on my healing. You're just done.
My ex-husband's a Pisces sun, so
So you understand.
I do.
Yeah, we're just like, nope.
I do. I mean, I ended that marriage, but also like there was just a lot of very, very hurt feelings that we've just ceased communications altogether. It's been very many years, it's been over 10 years since we've actually had a conversation.
And I want to go back to something you said earlier. So
Yeah.
some people don't understand what clairs are. Okay.
Okay. So clairaudience is the hearing. So it's like I'm not really hearing, you know, actual sounds, but it is a sense of knowing.
And let's go back
Claire,
before you say that. So the clairs are basically ways that we receive communication from either our higher selves, from our spirit
yes.
guides, from our consciousness, from whatever. So just so people understand. So when she's saying hearing, it doesn't come from the ear, right? But it's
Hmm.
heard. And so these are ways that you're receiving information. Go ahead.
Yes. And then so clairvoyance is clear knowing. Clairsentience, that's probably my strongest one, is clear feeling.
Mhm.
I have the ability to be like a human x-ray with people's feelings. And so I almost feel like you when people try to not tell their truth, I'm like, don't do that. Don't
Yeah.
tell me that you feel a certain way because
Right.
that has been very detrimental to me, and also part of a big part of my journey is people trying to talk me out of my own intuition,
Hmm.
and it was they know the clairsentience part as a child, knowing that something I can feel you so strongly and deeply. You can't tell me that you don't feel
Hmm.
this way because I know you do. So clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance.
So seeing, hearing,
Yeah.
knowing. So
Yeah.
seeing, hearing, knowing, feeling, right? So those are
Yeah.
our major ones. And I
Those are
always,
the major ones. Yeah.
those are the major ones. And I always like to remind people, everybody has these, right?
Hmm.
Some are stronger than others, but everybody has these. So people always say like, oh, how do you know that? Well, I built that muscle. So I went to the gym, I started lifting 2 pound weights and then ended up lifting higher weights in this kind of like muscle that you're building. And so everybody has the ability to learn to tune in to these things, right? Would you say that as a shaman?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I say, like, God sent me with my sense settings on high, and then trauma turned them way down and taught me to not trust myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy became very, very heavy. And I just was like, I was slowly like, here, I'm this bright, bright light. Ah, and I just shrunk.
But then you
So,
learned how to.
absolutely. So, once I started to embrace my gifts
Mhm.
and be who I am and practice, it was like, yeah, it was like pumping iron, but it's my intuitive muscle.
Right.
And the more you are open to receiving, the more you get. And so that is exactly how it works. And again, we're in this time of like amazing evolution on the planet where like so many now people are going to be tuning into their psychic senses and feeling like they're crazy, but you're not. And that's why I
Yeah.
started my blog. So like that's like a good little tie into like why I started my blog in 2018. So people never felt like they were wrong, crazy.
Mm.
There was something that was my biggest intention for the
Mm.
blog and why I started sharing all of my testimony of strength and resilience because I have been through so many things and I felt alone in all those things and I felt crazy
Yeah.
and I felt like there
Well,
was
and the
something
world
wrong
will,
with me.
right, and the world will tell you you're crazy, right? That's why
Hmm.
there's all these psych medications. So many empaths, so people who feel things, for those that
Hmm.
don't know what an empath is, they think that they're depressed and things, and so they go on medications, not understanding that they're more empathic and they're just feeling everybody's emotions all the time, and they don't
Hmm.
understand that. And mainstream world will tell you if you're hearing things
Hmm.
you've got a psychiatric disorder, right? If you just randomly know things, you're like schizophrenic, right? You've just created this
Hmm.
personality that's making shit up. And then if you're feeling too much that you're anxious or you're depressed or whatever the case may be, and they'll medicate the intuitiveness out of you.
And I'm living proof of that.
Hmm.
So I went through many mental breakdowns,
Yeah.
but the biggest one was me trying to take my own life in 2011 and I was in a psychiatric hospital. I was on medications at that point for like 15 years. And people who would meet me, they're like, I was like a deer in the headlights. I
Mm.
just was so numbed to my own self
Yep.
because I am empathic and I am a psychic channel and I do speak with spirit and all of these things were really something that was very hard for me to talk about, to
Hmm.
put into words, to articulate. And once I took myself off of those medications, it was still about 4 years until I actually met another shaman. And she was the one who just really woke me up and brought me into this to the space that I'm in now. And that's why I do what I do is to help bring people like a pay it forward. what has been done for me was is now I share with other people because I could just energetically sense these things.
Yeah.
It is very important for me to help people heal gently. And I also want to say that I feel like the medications I was on at the time were very helpful for a
Mhm.
certain period of time, but not for the long term.
Right.
So
Mm.
like in crisis mode, they
Right.
were incredibly helpful.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with the same thing. I think that
Yeah.
there's a time and a place for everything.
Hmm.
In general, just like any medication, it's there for the symptoms, and it then usually creates more side effects than it often helps. But
Hmm.
it's not a long-term fix. So if you're depressed or you're anxious, it's a tool. You can use it
Hmm.
as a tool along and learn other tools so that you don't have to stay on the medication forever. But I do think that this world, they want to medicate you forever.
Oh, 100%. Just stay there and just don't. And really, it's a taking away of our power.
Mhm.
It's a stealing of
Dumb you down.
sovereignty. Let's just keep everybody so we can control everyone.
I'm on the same
Really,
page.
yeah, really easy. And so, yeah, I just always, I'm too curious. I ask too many questions. I'm like, no, this can't be it. There's got
That's
to
why
be
they want
more.
to dumb you down. They're like, stop asking those questions. Let's
Yeah,
put you on this
because
shit.
because I'm a wise person and
Mhm.
I,
A wise soul. Yeah.
yeah, I'm an old soul, I'm a wise soul. And I have to say, I am super, super grateful for the people that I met within the mental health
Hmm.
arena
Yeah.
because some of those therapists, one of them told me, I want you to go look at what an empath is, Maria, because I really
Hmm.
feel like that's who you are. And even people I did EMDR with,
Yeah.
I was in DBT for 3 different rounds of outpatient DBT. Those are tools that I bring into now into my coaching,
Hmm.
like back to like an AA saying you take what serves and you leave the rest. And that's what I've done all
Yeah.
through my life is I take what serves me and I leave the rest alone because what I do may not be like for somebody else, and that's all good. I am not here for somebody who's not about what I am about.
Right.
That's what makes like healing, it's an art. What I am, like the way that I go about my sessions is very different than the woman who taught me, very different than the people that I teach. We're all different.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of all of this. So
Yeah,
it's not a
like
one size
any
fits all for sure.
And like any art, there's, everybody has a different thing that they want, right? So one
Hmm.
artist somebody thinks is amazing, I might think is not amazing. And so that's the beauty of
Yeah.
there being such a collective of people because you get to pick who you resonate with, right? And then
Yes.
sometimes the ones that we don't resonate with us actually have more lessons to teach us than the ones that we do, but that's a different path, right?
That's a whole other thing. If I'm triggering me personally, I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, what is going on with me that this
Yes.
is really bothering me?
Right.
I lean in, I don't pull out.
Right.
I look to everything, whether they're triggers or glimmers, as
Hmm.
to how this can help me move forward. I don't get stuck in anything and I vacillate really quickly. That being said, my healing focuses more on sound. I am a
Mm.
toner, I'm a chanter, I am a light language artist. So being with me is a very lively healing session.
That's fun.
It's fun to be the vessel that all that comes out of because
Yeah.
that was not something again that I planned. It
Yeah.
was learning my gifts and getting like energy one-on-one basics from a
Mm.
teacher and then her really always putting everything back onto me and saying how do you want to build upon this. And so
Right.
when I first went into a session, like a practice session on her, I just all these sounds started coming out of me and I was like, whoa, this is neat. And then
And
about
scary and weird, right?
actually,
Or did
no.
you embrace it? Because
No, no,
I,
I embraced it. No, I
oh,
was
good for
not.
you.
I mean, it's funny because I've had like certain family members be like, that's weird what you do. And I'm just like, well, you know what?
All right, you're
Honestly,
like, YOLO.
like keep it moving because I
Right.
don't give a because it's helpful for me. It feels good for me. It feels good in my body. So I'm like a human tuning fork when
Hmm.
I'm doing all of that. And then 2 years ago, actually on the precipice of me coming into more of a romantic part of my previous relationship, all this light language started coming out of me. It just started pouring out of me. I was sitting on the beach and I was like, whoa, this is cool. And yeah, it continues to grow. And so a lot of my platform, the things that I share publicly are my poetry. I've written like over 850 poems. I have 6 books. I actually have 12 altogether. Six are not published yet. And my dancing, I'm a mover. I don't
Mm.
like sitting still is not for me. and my light language. So those are the three main things you'll see me doing on social media.
So if someone was interested in working with you, and I want to circle back
Hmm.
to other things,
Hmm.
but I'm
Hmm.
just curious about this. Do you like, how do they work with you? Is there like an online course where they can like learn how to open up their throat chakra and use their voice? Is there like, do you have videos that help them move their body and do these different things? Like how do you teach people?
I am a one-to-one mentorship
Mhm.
program. So it's like through like Zoom chats like this that I would
Mhm.
coach people over
Okay.
like a period of like 7 or 8. It's tailored to that person.
Yeah.
But mostly I'm one-on-one sessions. So I work remotely mostly. I've worked with people all over the world, and I actually don't do it through video because this is distracting for me. It's just a voice, and I got my earphones in, and I'm just sitting over a crystal grid. And that's how I work, or in person. Right now, I don't have an office. So I did, but now I don't. So I would actually go to somebody's home. I
Mm.
would go into somebody's home. I also do home clearings. I do tarot card readings. I will do mediumship sessions if somebody, based on like different time frames or what they are looking for. But I have a lot of different offerings.
So
I don't
for
have courses yet. I have been asked about that. I
It would
haven't.
be fun like to do, especially like a toning course and
Mm.
like a body movement course, right? Because oftentimes we're not moving our body in a way that allows for our channels to open up, for our chakras to open up and all of those
I
different things.
think you just planted a seed, Barbie.
Yes,
I think you
that's your
just like
next
just
thing.
yeah, that is. It's my next
Yes.
thing. Okay.
And
I like it.
like what from somebody who has a course, one thing I learned is it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I
Mm.
went to all of these extents to get it done by a production company and paid all of this money. And then I'm like, honestly, I could have just recorded it and it would have been just fine.
I'm just, yeah. So that's actually something I'm really proud about with the poetry,
Hmm.
particularly because when I first started, you can go back, and I'm somebody who doesn't delete their Instagram. So you can go all the way back to my beginnings of emotional musings, and you'll see me in a bathroom,
Mm.
barely speaking the words, like very.
Right.
And now, like, I worry about like how, but I am in front of that camera and I am projecting my words, and I do everything myself. Like, I don't have any assistants, or I'm a one
Well,
woman
you
show.
do,
So,
just people can't see them, right?
yes, I do. That's a good point. I do. I have lots of invisible assistants.
We need to manifest you physical assistance to help you so that the affordable
Hmm.
physical assistance to help you so that you can continue to share your work. Three things I want to
Yes.
do before we go.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you about plant medicine a little bit. That's
Okay.
one. I want to hear your poem that you channeled.
Yes.
And the last one will come to me. Oh, no, I want to talk to you about, and this one let's talk about first.
Okay.
So, from somebody who was very intuitive from birth, but then went into like corporate, right? And completely
Mm.
shut down all of my intuitive stuff because it was weird, except for like when I was at home playing with things, right? But in general, just kind of shut it down. And now is starting to show up in the world. Like I created all of this stuff and then and intentionally left out the quote unquote woo that people will call it because of
Yeah.
the shame and the judgment behind it all, which then meant I didn't show up as my authentic self, right?
A
So
hundred
you
percent.
completely show up as your authentic self with all of this. So for somebody who's like me, who like it's taken a while or they're on that journey, how does
Mm-hmm.
one show up truly as their like how you're showing up, right? They
Okay.
truly are.
I will tell you that I am a free spirit. I am
Mhm.
a hippie. I am a weirdo. And I've
Mhm.
known that my whole life.
Yeah.
So I'd say a lot for me is keeping small promises with myself. I am not about betraying myself anymore.
Yeah.
I am not about it. For instance, even just me saying with this recent relationship, and I still was my authentic self all the way through. There's no stopping Maria Teresa anymore. But like I stayed in a marriage for 12 years knowing that it wasn't right for me.
Mhm.
From like early on I got messages and I was like, but I stayed.
Right.
6 months, 12 years. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
I I have a stubbornness about me that I'm just gonna be who I am.
Mhm.
And I really, like going out into the world again and like really presenting myself, because now I have to like, think about how I want to fit into this world. And it's like, no, I know that I'm not meant to fit in. I'm meant to
Mhm.
stand out because I'm here to break stereotypes. I'm here to break stigmas. I'm here to lead. I'm here
Mhm.
to inspire change. That was something I took on when I became into this awakening and said, I'm going to be a shaman and I'm going to start helping people. And this is my purpose. And it's to help heal humanity one heart at a time.
Yeah.
through my poetry and my healing. And so when you say that, like I'm somebody who like I live my words. I
Right.
walk my talk. I'm
Right.
not going to say something and not be who I am.
Hmm.
So that to me is inborn integrity. I don't think
Right.
it's something that I think it's just like it's I don't think it's a choice. It's literally who I am. So
But
I'm
it is a
not going to
choice though,
hide
right?
anymore.
For me, it was a choice. I was a
I
weirdo.
understand where you're
Yeah.
coming from
Yeah.
because
Because
being in
it's like,
that world, you
right.
have to like
Well, and I was
fit
trying to
in.
prove myself, right? So I was a weirdo
Mm.
kid that had no friends because I was saying random
Yeah.
stupid shit I was channeling, right? And everybody thought I was doing
Yeah.
that job. But then, you go through like scarcity. So as a child, you
Mm-hmm.
don't understand what scarcity truly means. You just know you don't have things. You go through physical, sexual abuse, things like that. So you
Yeah.
build, you were talking about like a thick skin. And then for me, the way that I showed up was a high achiever. So
Mm.
it was more of a survival mechanism versus being in touch with your integrity of who you truly are. Because when you're trying to survive in life, oftentimes the true you is put on the back burner so that you can survive, right? And so I'm trying to find, I know how to, I've done the work, but for somebody who's trying to kind of merge, they've come into this place where they no longer want to be in survival. They're tired of being in this unauthentic version of themselves, some way of like being able to show up who they truly are. And if you have like a tool or advice or just like, I don't know, like a message, maybe it'll come out in your poem is kind of what I'm feeling.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
probably will come out in the poem. I've done a lot of reflecting over this last few weeks, and
Yeah.
like I've realized that I've hidden within people.
Mm,
I'm a middle child.
hmm.
It's like I'm going to be accepted if I'm a good girl.
Right.
And I did the opposite of high achieving. I didn't even let myself try because I didn't want to fail
Uh,
and let anybody down. Not even like forget myself. I didn't want to let other people down.
right.
So it was very much like an owning, a taking back of my power, of a
Hmm.
deciding that I'm worthy, that I believe in myself, I trust myself. These are things that people would say to me, like, you're really strong. And I'd be like, oh, that's nice. Or
But it's
like,
actually not a compliment sometimes, right? Because it just means that you're showing
well,
up.
actually, in this way,
It was
what was
good.
going on with me and what I was dealing with in life, it was said as a compliment. And I just was like, huh, that's really kind, but I didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So the game changer for me was me feeling worthy,
Hmm.
believing in myself,
Right.
trusting myself.
Right.
And I think those things have to be intentionalized. And I did those in the beginning through affirmations, through, like I said, making small promises with myself, because the version that you see now is certainly not what was the version of me when I was in trauma and in despair and in heartache and just really stuck in a
Yeah.
lot of emotion.
And I'm
So,
I'm hearing like also reflection, right? Because as you
mhm.
make those small promises to yourself, you have to reflect on what you did to see, did I fulfill these small promises to myself? If I didn't, how can I adjust in that the next time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, journaling. I'm a huge journaler. So I've been journaling all my life. That's kind of how
Mhm.
poems started coming out.
Right.
And then just like I have a really awesome group of trusted people that
Hmm.
will say to me like, "My gosh, Maria, let me point out to you the things that you have done."
Right.
Because I'm like my own worst enemy and I like won't see those things when I'm going through things and I'm like everything's no, look at all the things that you've created. And that's
Yeah.
another thing. Get into your passion. Do things that light you up. I'd say that that's probably my biggest piece of advice because when you're creating, that is a whole different flow of energy
Yep.
and nothing can ever be taken away from you.
Hmm.
And that to me, it's been pointed out to me is that I'm very successful in that.
You're good in
So
getting into
I've
yourself.
created so many things.
Hmm.
That's life to me. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be living and feeling alive if I didn't have those things.
Right.
So
And
I
I think
couldn't
that
turn the music off. I danced to too much.
I think that's where people struggle. Is that a channeling crystal that you're holding?
These are my Lumerians. These
Yeah.
are, these are my really special babies. These are with me. These are my most powerful ones.
I
Yeah.
love that.
And this one I've had for a number of years, and I love her because my thumb fits perfectly in that
Oh, that
indent.
little groove. Yeah.
It's yeah, yeah. I have a very big relationship with my crystals. That was
Yeah.
a part of my past life in Atlantis, for
Yep.
sure. I was like a
Yeah.
crystal goddess. And so, yeah, that was the biggest part of the moving. And my girls were like so good about packaging all my crystals and like which ones I'm going to bring here and there and like getting it all organized because those are my most prized possessions. And I mean, they're part of the earth. So I feel like really all I have these days. I've got some clothes, I've got a bunch of crystals.
I love that though. So briefly,
Yeah.
I like to, oftentimes shamans will use some sort of plant medicine,
Yes.
which I'm a huge fan of, and an experiencer of. Give me just some thoughts or whatever it is that you think about those tools.
So for me personally, I do not use that with clients.
Hmm.
It's not the kind of shamanism that I practice.
Yep.
I do take micro doses of mushrooms on my
Hmm.
own,
Hmm.
usually in the astral realms, not even during awake times. I will
Right.
take a little bit and go to sleep. And I feel like that has been very helpful
Okay.
for my own emotions. And I'm very open to it. I just, with my own experience of things, I don't, I mean, I'm somebody who lives a very clean life.
Yeah.
So I don't need that. I
Hmm.
don't, I operate just with my own being. And so I will put how I work with people is I have a bunch of channeled messages that will link our energy fields, and that's
Hmm.
how I drop in, and then we go from there. And then I'm in your energy field and I'm working.
Tell me about, or can you read us your poem before we
I can,
up?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let me not have that roll down. This is called Elemental Family. When the pieces inside run out of places to hide, seeking solace from life's wild ride, heart aches like a fire burning wild. The ember sparks are my sisters, keeping me warm during the cold and lonely winters, becoming friends with the smoke as it tickles my throat, making peace with the past, grounded by wisdom born through soul's colorful contrast. 2 feet on the earth, third eye opens to discover the mud and sticks are my brothers, whispering guidance in practical terms, mastering experiences with the assistance of the cosmos, known as a Jupiter return, singing a swan song, preparing to sail off into the golden horizon. May the elements of water help me to let go. Whales and dolphins deliver intuitive messages of love as they flow, breaching the surface as they can again dive deep and low. Tones and vibrations cast spells of information. Energy is felt through instinct and sensation. The breath of life that birthed my existence becomes the wind that propels higher dimensions admins. Cosmic consciousness reunites my being to all stellar nations, opening new doorways to 5D realities and operations. The air is love. Fire transforms fear into love. Earth mends the heart with her love.
Mm.
Water flows freely, cleansing all wounds with love. And
Beautiful.
so I'd say that love is my greatest superpower. That's what I'm here to do. I use my sensibilities as superpowers, and I believe everything is love and connected to it. And that is very evident in all of our elements, which are going to begin singing to those of us who are in tune. So I started hearing songs in water this year,
Mm.
which also translates for me into light language. So if I'm at the beach, I usually start, that's where a lot of light language will land.
And I would say that for people that are trying to work on developing their gifts, one thing is to ground into nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Nature is I live in Florida, so I'm super grateful that it's mostly sunny and
Mhm.
I have the beach. And so I have a beautiful place that I live in and I'm outside most of the time. And it's really important.
It is.
It has just that natural healing ability to calm us.
Yep. Yep. And we all usually get stuck in our homes or in our offices. So how do
Yeah.
people find you?
Everything I do is emotional musings. And that also connects to my sister site, the Musing Shaman, which has
Mhm.
all of my services. But yeah, the blog is Emotional Musings and the Musing Shaman. And I'm on all social platforms, and there's contact forms on all and ways to schedule appointments. And I'm
Perfect.
easily found. Maria Teresa, emotional musing.
Okay. Well, I will also put that in the description. I appreciate you sharing all of your wisdom with us and your journey and your current story. And we look forward to people taking the information that you gave and somehow taking that into their journey and learning from it.
Thank you, Barbie. I say enlighten and shadow, always with love. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. If this story spoke to you, let's keep the healing going. Visit barbiemoreno.com for my online course, Awakening Your Worth and Healing Energy sessions, one-on-one coaching, and your free healing guide. Your next step is waiting.